in town.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Podcast at Sequel, where we talk about the good, the bad, and the continued. My name is Joseph.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Marissa.
I'm Manira.
And on this week's episode, we're going to be talking about what has been labeled one of the worst sequels of all time, The Son of the Mask. Before we get into that, as always, we have to get to the original The Mask, starring Jim Cameron Diaz. You're killing me, bro.
Why are you
Already?
It's that bad. It's that bad.
It's pretty bad. But fun little fact as we get into The Mask. I've always loved it. I had it on VHS. I remember it being one of the first movies that I ever really watched or paid attention to. Watched it multiple times. But when I was going back into doing research about this movie, I did not know this was Cameron Diaz's first film.
Mm-hmm.
Damn it, Joseph!
It was,
Well, yeah, I think
was my
it's
fun
good
fact, too.
because like the last pod, I want to say Shrek was her first animated movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little connection
That sounds
there.
about right.
Yeah. So like, always loved it. Was a big fan of it. Did you guys know who they wanted in their short list of actors to play the Mask though?
I have a few listed.
So we all want to name one of them.
Yeah, I was like,
Go for it.
Just any of them?
Yeah, any of them. Or
Robin Williams
yes.
is one of them.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Pass.
Okay.
Oh, damn.
I'll take one. Nicolas Cage.
Really?
Yeah.
Martin
No.
Short.
Really?
Matthew Broderick.
I think Nicolas
Matthew
Cage
Broderick.
would have been a good, what's his name? Dorian.
Ooh. Yeah.
Nicolas
I
Cage.
would be cool with that.
They made the face look like him halfway already.
I wonder if that was inspiration, being like, I wonder if we can get Cage as the villain. He was like, nah, I want to be the Mask.
They said, well, we're still using your likeness,
We're
bitch.
so using
We paid for it.
There's one more person, too, that they had in consideration, and I would really just like to give him props because I feel like we don't hear from him anymore.
I know what you're talking about. Yep.
It's Rick Moranis.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder how that movie would have been.
I don't see Rick Moranis in this, but
No.
I love Rick Moranis, and I would love for him to come back. I
that'd
understand
be
why he
awesome.
stepped away, and I appreciate it. I understand it, respect it. I wish he would come back. 'Cause
Yeah, and I
he
think
would.
like we just said, it's hard to see him play that role. If
Yeah.
it would have been original, then yeah, that would have been different. But that's why when we get into the Son of the Mask, like Jim Carrey as the Mask was just
Yeah.
it
Perfect.
was just
I
so.
could have seen Robin Williams do it though.
Robin Williams
Yeah.
would probably be
He
the
had
only
that
other
animation
one.
about him.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would have been really
So
cool.
the story with Robin that I've always heard is the reason why he didn't want to do the Mask is because he was holding out to be the Riddler in the Tim Burton Batman universe. So he didn't want the Mask to be his very first comic book movie. Because a lot of people,
even do it, and guess who
yeah,
did?
yeah, Jim
Jim
Carrey.
Carrey.
That's what I was trying to get to.
Full
It's like
circle.
Full circle moment. Jim Carrey ends up being the Riddler as well. But yeah, that's why Robin passed on it. A lot of people forget that the Mask was a comic book first. And I feel like it doesn't get enough props for being, like, obviously Batman 89 was already out, and Superman, the Christopher Reeves movie, had already been in the 80s. But like, this is a big movie. Like, it made so much money. Like, it was
I think
like
it
a
made
box
double
office hit.
its budget.
It had
Yes.
an 18 to 20 million dollar budget, and I think it made 356 million in the box office,
Yeah,
which is
It was like
huge
300 something.
for like a comic book straight
Yeah.
to live action adaptation. Like, I thought it doesn't get enough credit for that, for being a comic book movie. But what are your guys' thoughts on The Mask? Any of y'all take it?
I have one thing I want to say before anyone takes it. The Cuban Pete scene from The Mask, when we were watching it, I was just like, oh my God, I forgot about this scene. And then I've had it stuck in my head
So good.
since we watched it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nonstop. Like, I just keep, like, I just want, like, the little, what are they called?
The maracas.
Maracas?
The maracas. And just,
Little
like,
shake, shaky, boom,
Yeah.
shake, shaky, boom.
and then I have, like, an off-the-shoulder shirt, so I put it on, and just, like, you look like one of the girls at El Torito. And I was like, I'm done.
Ooh.
I'm done.
Ooh. Damn.
That's all I wanted to say for now. I'll pass it off
Yeah.
to someone else.
That song originally, the producers wanted to cut it out of the movie completely. The reason why they didn't cut it out is because it was the highest graded scene in test screenings.
I'm sure it was.
So that's why they kept it in there. But they felt like it went on too long and that didn't fit the movie. But I'm glad they did because it's
I
a
feel
great
like it
scene.
speaks to like the cartoony, because I mean, think about it. Even once we get into like Son of the Mask, like the Mask and Son of the Mask are both very cartoony,
Mhm.
and I think that's like the best word for both of these. And speaking with like Jim Carrey, like just his movements and like his physical comedy alone, I think
It's very
just-
cartoony.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people who have talked about this movie also mention the fact that like his physical ability took a lot of like CGI and everything away from it. And I think it just speaks to him as an actor and just how wonderful and great especially for that time frame as well. Like physical comedy, I feel like was at its peak during like the 80s, 90s. Like a lot of like slapsticky, like very kind of almost like Three Stooges-esque kind of thing going on. And then this movie, the first movie, came out in 1994, which is also a big year for Jim Carrey. You had Dumb and Dumber come out the same year. You had Ace Ventura, Pet Detective come out that same year, and The Mask. So he had like 3 back-to-back, like...
He's repeated in 1 year, which
Yeah,
I don't know
which
any
is
actor who has
amazing.
had that run in just 1 year of just box
I'm
office hit.
I'm sure people have.
3 in 1 year?
I'm sure that they have.
I doubt that.
I'm gonna give credit like to people. Like I mean, we do research on specifics.
Well, that's
but,
what I'm saying.
But I'm not trying to discredit Jim Carrey at all. I think he's an amazing actor. I know a lot of us probably know and love like him and what he does. And yeah, just as a comedy, like a physical comedian, I just think he's great. I know I grew up with him on Living Color and Ace Ventura and all that stuff. And
Yeah, when he was James Carrey.
I don't know if I could say enough about how much I personally love Jim Carrey, but yeah, I know you love.
I love James Carrey.
Yeah,
James Carrey, the man, the myth, the legend. He's one of my favorite actors. He's a big inspiration for me. I love The Mask. And what you said exactly was one of the reasons why the movie we are going to talk about is such garbage, was because Jim Carrey was such a good physical actor.
Yeah.
And I agree with you with the taking away, not having to use as much CGI. I think that's a big testament to a person's abilities of acting in cinema.
The Mask was directed by Charles Russell, who also did 2 movies that I know. I won't say know and love, but know. One is Cats and Dogs, and the other is Scorpion King. Or sorry, not Cats and Dogs. Sorry, Dream Warrior. I'm getting my director's costume confused. Dream Warrior, and then Scorpion King.
Ooh. Interesting.
Dream Warrior, I like.
Well, so didn't the writer of Son of the Mask also do Cats and Dogs as well?
Yeah, so that was
it's the same director.
I had my notes.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, for Son of the Mask.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Son of
I'm
the
so
Mask
sorry.
was Cats and Dogs, which
I was
you
like,
can,
wait a minute.
you can totally see in the animation
Oh, absolutely.
and the direction.
Yeah.
For sure. But sorry, I was speaking about The Mask,
My
the
mistake.
original. No, my mistake because I said it first. No, he did Scorpion King and then Dream Warriors, which I like. Dream Warriors. It's cool. I feel like a lot of people are like, "This is the best one." I don't think it's the best one, but Scorpion King, the first one wasn't terrible.
What was the first one? You mean The Mummy
Scorpion?
2?
Oh well, The Mummy 2. Ooh.
Check the
That's
tape.
awful.
I feel like it's the third time we bring up the Scorpion
Yeah,
King on this
that's-
podcast.
Well, I know Scorpion King was a spin-off.
Yeah. From
Of
the
The
bad
Mummy.
CGI was The Mummy 2.
Yeah,
That was the
rough.
real rough.
That
Yeah.
was
But
super
you are
rough.
right. We have brought up Scorpion King.
Yeah.
Couple
A couple of
Check
times.
the tape. Originally, they wanted Anna Nicole Smith to play the female
yeah.
lead.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
what it was 94.
1994.
94.
So she was probably still.
I don't know how old she was.
I don't know how bodacious she was at that point.
She's always been bodacious.
Well, there was a time where she was like
He has a point.
pretty like tight. I don't know the proper wording of it. Of like she was like a model, like a
Snatched?
traditional model.
Is that
And then
when-
as the
before or
years
after
went
she got
on,
married?
I don't know. Maybe it was after she got married, because then I know that she got like bodacious to a certain point, like Jessica Rabbit physique.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering if that was kind of the idea that they were going
yeah,
for.
because the original idea was for her to end up being one of the villains.
Oh,
Like
interesting.
she was kind of lure Jim Carrey's character into the whole third act, and that was going to be the twist. But she ended up agreeing to do another movie. I forgot what it was. I want to say it was like Naked Gun 3 or something. It was some type of I
That
forgot
sounds
what it
about right.
was. But that's the reason why they didn't get her. But that was the original idea of who they wanted to be the female lead,
Interesting.
which I always found interesting. Also, originally this was supposed to be a horror movie. When they were looking to making this into a
Was it
live
really?
action, yeah, the original concept for The Mask was to make it a horror franchise. Which I don't know how that would have played out. I guess because of The Mask itself, you could mess around with that idea, but I'm glad that's not the route they went.
Yeah, and I know Marissa
Yeah.
was saying like with the the original comic
Yeah.
version that there are multiple stories that's more of like an anthology.
It's
And-
the whole like the whole series of The Mask is just The Mask. Like,
Yeah,
it doesn't
yeah.
follow Stanley Ipkiss or anything
Yeah.
like that. Like, and it's pretty, like, if you have read the comics or anything like that, it's pretty dark. Like, there's one that I was looking up, and it, like, delves into, like, this kid who was, like, bullied in high school, and basically he gets control of the mask and all of, like, the properties that the mask comes with. He basically commits, like, murder on, like, his high school colleagues and stuff, which is wild, like, to think about. But
And I feel
I
like
don't
that's
know.
exactly what the direction that Dorian goes in is like, oh, I have this power.
well, the whole purpose of
Yeah.
the mask when you put it on is that it takes away from, like, your moral
Mhm.
and social, like, standards. if
So
you
we
will.
are in
Like,
agreement.
it makes you
yeah.
want to do your deepest, darkest desires. It's supposed
Mhm.
to open that world for
I
you.
don't
Like,
even know if it's, like, about the desire of it. I think it just completely, like, is just, like, very cartoony, shot in the dark, and it just kind of, like, makes you go into this, like it's not even you, and, like, you maybe it takes from some things that you want or, like, have seen, known.
I think that's why with Ipkiss, he's like loner, you know, at his bank job that he doesn't enjoy. Can't get into the club like his friends can, you know, just shitty car. Lives with his dog, very cartoony apartment. Landlord's on his ass 24/7. Then he puts the mask on, he just completely changes. And, like, it gives him that, like, him going back to, like, the car dealership, that scene. Like, to me, it's like the stuff that there's a moment where he's Ipkiss and he wants to tell them something, but he doesn't. Just kind of slowly walks out.
Yeah,
But when
he's
he
like,
puts the mask on, he comes back to do what he wanted to do originally. What it was
Yeah.
in his mind, he's able to unleash that out with the mask on.
Yeah. But I feel like, and obviously we'll touch more into it in Son of the Mask, I feel like they completely strayed away with that, where, like, it just turned into, like, a cartoon show, whereas, like, the original Mask, maybe, like, the comics as well as the movie, it's just like, okay, what are you afraid to do? What are you afraid to face? Like, in real life, like, this mask will basically, like, mask your person, and you can now do the things that you were afraid to touch upon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like, I feel like, and once again, we'll go into, like, Son of the Mask, but I feel like the mask has, like, a deeper meaning of just, like, life and just, you know, do what you want to do, kind of almost like life is shorty kind of thing.
Yeah, because I
Yep.
feel like in the third act, he finally accepts that he doesn't need the mask
Yeah.
to
Oh,
be,
yeah.
like,
Anything.
what he wanted to be. Yeah, like, when he gets, spoilers, by the way, but always, you know.
Always with us.
Always
There's
spoilers.
spoilers.
When
You
he
should know
gets-
this at this point.
Yeah, when he gets with Cameron Diaz's character at the end,
has
and
a
he just
point.
tosses the mask into the little river. That's
It's
right
not
there.
even, is it him that tosses it? I feel like it's Cameron Diaz.
Or maybe
that
it's him.
does
I
it.
think.
I feel
yeah.
like it's her. Like, her being like, oh, you don't need this, and she tosses it.
I just love the
and
buddy
kiss.
going after it. Like, it
Yeah.
just jumps into the water. And be like,
Oh,
"Wait,
yeah.
what?"
Oh, no, where is it? It's already
Hops
gone.
on the
Yeah.
bridge, yeah.
Yeah.
I also like the actor who plays the detective
Mhm.
because of his history as an actor, because he's a very silly actor from, like, Animal House and National Lampoon type stuff.
I've never seen Animal House.
I
That's
haven't
that's a
either.
good one.
I want to see it. It's on my list of, like,
Yeah.
movies to see.
It's definitely
There's not
worth-
a lot of movies that I haven't.
Because
But it's
his
definitely one of
so
them.
there's two sort of, like, main, like, frat characters, and he's one of them, and then the other character that they're friends with is actually Van Wilder's dad in National Lampoon's Van Wilder, which is why they bring him back as, like, that.
Oh,
I'm
that's
that
so
uptight
fun.
character now.
Oh,
yeah,
that's really fun.
yeah, yeah. We'll watch that. We'll add that to the list.
Yeah. This
worth
film was
it.
also nominated for an Oscar and a Golden Globe
Yep.
for visual effects. It lost the Oscar to Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump,
Ah,
yeah. And Jim
you
Carrey was
know.
nominated
Wait,
for
hold on, wait, hang on, time out. It lost visual effects.
lost visual effects to
To
Forrest
Forrest
Gump.
Gump?
Yes.
And Jim Carrey was nominated, I
Golden
think,
Globe.
Golden Globe for
Yeah.
Best Actor. I don't remember who he lost it to. But
I don't
visual
know.
effects went to
I mean, I
Forrest
could
Gump.
give or take the Golden Globe because
Yeah.
I feel like that's
Yeah.
kind of like hit or miss. But
visual
the
effects,
visual effect. But I'm more stumped on, like, the visual effects for Forrest Gump.
I guess.
At the time, they were like,
Yeah.
"Whoa, Forrest Gump's really there at the thing."
But
You
what
watch it
visual-
now, and it's
Oh,
like
visual
yeah,
effects
now
for
I remember.
Forrest- what
Yeah.
visual
it's all
effects?
those.
When-
It's where they superimpose them into all
with
the
the
scenes
Martin
in
Luther King
history.
scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's just there.
And they're
he
just
kinda
like, "Oh
blends
yeah,
in.
oh sir, my
Okay.
butt
Yeah.
hurts.
Okay. I
Oh,
was
I'm sorry,
like-
son."
I was like, what
That
visual
shit.
Yeah.
effects?
That-
Wow, that's
yeah.
okay.
They were very subtle-ish,
Yeah, but, like, I feel like you can. I don't know. I would almost fight that. I would
too.
also want to see, like, the other nominees because I feel like even with those two, you could cancel those out and then get a whole nother, like, movie that might have been better, kind of thing. I don't know. I would argue.
And it was also nominated for a Razzie, right? That's what you say, Razzie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
that's right.
worst new star. Jim Carrey.
Worst new star?
Yes.
He's been a star. I mean, this
Well,
catapulted him.
Yeah, so
for
that's what he was
sure.
nominated for worst new star in
Wow,
1994.
I
that's
don't know about
wild.
Yeah.
that.
I'm like,
It's a little harsh. They should have gave it to someone else.
Cameron Diaz
Oh yeah, absolutely.
in Gays of New York.
That's even worse,
no.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
We know. We know.
What are our thoughts on her performance in this film?
The lack thereof.
Yeah.
It was very like, I am supposed to be this typecast character, and I'm really sailing on my good looks.
I have two big issues with her in this movie.
Okay.
And one of them is not her fault. Because there's a moment where she goes to visit Stanley in like jail, and she's like, "Thank you for not like seeing me as just like a piece of meat, like hot eye candy or whatever." And it's like,
The thing you were written as.
he had no idea who you were. He saw you. Of course you're like, we need to step away from that. Of like, what's the first thing you ever see in anybody when you meet them? It's physicality. So like, stop. So that, like, scripture, not her fault. She didn't write the script. Like, she's just following direction, which is totally fine. But second is, I'm never really like a huge Cameron Diaz fan. There's probably like a handful of movies that I am like, yes. And like, I know one of them is Sweetest Thing. I love Sweetest Thing. And then I don't know why, but I love her in Charlie's Angels.
We'll get there.
Yeah,
Because
we'll
we're
get-
definitely going to hit that.
We'll definitely
That's-
hit Charlie's Angels full throttle. But I don't know. Cameron Diaz is like hit or miss for me. Like I don't love her as like a main character, but if she's like combined with others as like a duo, a trio, or whatever have you, like I think she really soars. I think she's great.
I thought she was hot.
She's always hot.
There was some movie magic going on in there
Yeah.
because they made things look certain ways that I
mean
know
her upper
do
region?
not look like that in person.
I think
Yeah.
it's, especially knowing that it was her first film that she did.
I mean,
I
she's
think-
done film, but
Fact check.
go ahead, look it up.
Fact check.
You want me to Google it right
She
now?
was a model
I'm
before.
just saying fact check.
Fact
but this
check
was
what?
What you're insinuating.
It's out there.
Hmm.
You can Google that.
I'm a fact check.
Fact check it. But I
It's
think
not a theatrical release, but
No.
it's she's done things.
for her first feature film, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Feature film, I think she did a good job. For her first one, I was reading into it that she had to audition 12 times for the role.
That's
excessive.
crazy.
And they
That's
finally, and then
I think they were just
gave
like,
it to
"Hey,
her.
you should come see this girl. Check her out. Like,
Yeah.
let her do her
I
thing."
think that's where I
I'll
was
bring
like,
her
they
in,
probably
split
just want to
it.
see her.
Just pretend like
Could you do that
I
role
feel
again
like
when
the
you
way
bend
that
down?
they talk about her
You're
too,
in.
like in this role, because I feel like no matter what I've heard or like listened to, where it's like a review of this movie, they're all like, "Oh my god, it's Cameron Diaz's first role. Oh my god, she's so hot. Oh my god, what a find!" Like you hear all of these things, and I feel like for how much I've heard all of that's been said, like I really don't. I don't see any of that. Like, oh my god, like this girl is like Oscar worthy. Like this girl is like the new like Playboy model. Like Cameron Diaz is hot. I'm not saying that she's not a nice person. I'm not saying any of this stuff. Like I'm sure she's a very nice lady. I don't take away from that fact that she's super talented, but from what we get from her in this movie and for all the buildup that we get of her in this movie and her being in her first role and all this stuff, like, are we really getting it?
I don't think it's her full potential of what
No,
she could do
absolutely
at
not. I
all.
think
Yeah,
she's flourished for
Yeah.
sure.
for sure.
Like definitely better movies. I think she has the comedic timing that pairs really well. I honestly would have loved to see her and Jim Carrey maybe in another movie and see like what they could become, because like it's kind of like the Adam Sandler, Jennifer Aniston, or Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore, where like maybe they could have had that kind of like dynamic duo kind of thing where they just play off really well and they're great romantic characters, and you know maybe something could have happened, but you know, I don't know. I just feel like it doesn't live up to the hype. Her in that movie and what people say.
Yes, I would agree.
Yeah. The movie's great. Like I enjoyed the movie. I saw it when I was super young. I think I was 6 when I saw it for some weird reason. I know you love it because every time I'll like fall asleep and then I'll wake up and you're randomly playing the movie.
It's a great movie.
And
I stand by it.
and we love Jim Carrey.
Yeah,
so.
there was a time in the '90s where like zoot suits were just like in and like swing music,
They're still in.
like swingers, and I mean, it's things will come back.
There's a
I
zoot
guess.
suit shop in Fullerton.
There
that's,
is.
That's ready.
Yeah,
to go.
we've bought many prom suit there.
Do you have pictures of you in prom?
Yeah. I don't
Instead
have
of, like,
I don't
Simon?
have I don't have one in a zoot suit. I wasn't that guy, but I knew
well.
people who did, and I was like, hell yeah, dude. Rock it. Just that lean back look. That's what you did with a zoot suit. That's what she did.
I'm just so curious how they came up with like the design for like where this character came from when they were like putting this movie together. Like at what point were they like? I mean, yes, they pulled from the comic, but like, is there anything?
They pull from the comic, but I know one that I looked into. Sorry, not to interrupt you, but speaking on like your zoot suit, is that however you say
That
it?
is how you say it.
Zoot.
They based his suit based on a costume his mom, Jim Carrey's mom, made for him when he was younger.
That's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like that.
So his yellow suit was based on
Banana
something
yellow,
his
yeah.
mother made him. Yeah.
Very Curious Georgie.
Yeah.
Ooh, I want to Curious George. No.
Damn, there's a Curious George fact that I was looking
There
into.
was, I saw
Yeah,
that
I
too.
know. Right now that I'm like,
Wait a minute.
I
like,
want to
really
say
read
the
that.
director had something to do with Curious George or something,
might
or the
have.
writers. I
don't
forgot
know.
what it was. I glimpsed over it.
Yeah, I'm sure Kevin Bacon was in there somewhere.
Can I bring up some random thing?
I found it.
Please
Like-
do.
5 minutes ago when we were talking about it, I looked at the movies that were nominated for Best Visual Effects
Oh
in
yeah,
1994.
What do you got?
There were 3 movies nominated. So we
Mm.
there were 3. So we know 2. The third one is True Lies. Those are the 3 movies nominated for Best Visual Effects.
There was only 3. That's
Only 3.
Such a short.
Jimmy Cameron coming back, huh?
Yeah.
Jimmy Cameron.
These are the only 3 in
Okay,
1994.
now that I know that it was up to Forrest Gump, The Mask, and True Lies.
I would have given it to The
True
Mask.
Lies?
Yes. True Lies
I
got
would've
nominated for
given it to
Best
True-
Visual.
I
I've never
would've-
seen True Lies fully.
Like-
Fully.
What does that mean?
It's pretty
Does
decent.
that
I'm-
mean you started it and you fell asleep?
No, little snippets here and there.
It's like, how dare you?
I've fallen asleep in so many things.
What would
I
we
don't
pick
know.
between those 3?
I
I'd
would've
pick The
given it to
Mask.
The Mask.
I'm with the mask. Yeah, I think
I
it
mean,
was.
I get
There's so much
like,
more
I
of
get
it,
the
and-
Forrest Gump because like I
I didn't
it
even
was
think
just,
about
like,
visual effects
it was
in
very
Forrest Gump.
Hollywood darling kind
Yeah.
of film
Yeah.
for the time, but at the same like moment, you come on, you know he's not there. You know he's not shaking hands
Yeah.
with the president. You know he's
But
not.
it looked
yeah.
like it. He was there.
No,
I saw the video of it. He was there.
Like, not saying that like The Mask isn't cartoony. It's supposed to be cartoony. It's a comic.
I think that add value to like
Yeah, it's
him wearing that
like
makeup.
cartoon.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Plus, like the other thing is like with the mask, like it broke a lot of like cartoony barriers, like computer animated. Like it set the stone for a lot of like computer animated movies.
Yeah,
I would've
also,
given it
I
to
would
him.
also argue that I feel like it unlocked almost like a door barrier. Like, and I know I'm gonna get maybe some heat for this, but I feel like for me, it kind of like opened the doorway between like kid cartoons and like adult cartoons. Like I know like Simpsons and all the TV shows, I get that. But for me, like I personally remember being like, "Oh, this is very cartoony." Like I'm watching this with my parents, like
Yeah.
at the time. So I feel like it was just very.
But they gotta throw jokes in there that are like for the parents that took the kids
Yeah.
or whatever
But I
in
feel
any
like I
movie.
was talking to somebody at my work today about this too, where like at what point, at what age can you like do you show your kids like certain movies, right? Like we were specifically talking about like Mel Brooks movies where he's like, okay, well my kids have seen Spaceballs, but they haven't seen Blazing Saddles.
I was about to say,
You know?
oh,
Yeah,
why?
like, yeah. Well, no, when I told him, I was like, my first Mel Brooks movie was Young Frankenstein. Like, it was
Same.
one of the first DVDs that I had. And I feel like
Yeah,
that
that's
would
good.
be somewhat appropriate. Like, there's sexual innuendos and everything like that. But that's another thing where I was just like, it's,
I
you
mean,
know.
a lot of
at what
cartoons
point.
have sexual innuendos. Shrek had a bunch of sexual innuendos.
Oh yeah, but it's
Little
still
Mermaid.
for kids,
Mhm.
right? Yeah, like
Yeah.
I mean, so I think that's what's great about like those cartoon movie shows, whatever, is if it can entertain both kids and
Yes.
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
That's the test of like a
Yeah.
great.
Where just
Mhm.
You did it right.
Like rides that line of
Yeah.
just it can be fun for both.
Yeah,
but
because
it's
then
not
you could
both
go
for-
one way or another, and it can totally
or
dissuade
even
it.
like you saw it as a kid and you loved it as a kid, and now you can appreciate it more.
And
as
you're
an
like,
adult.
oh, I get that joke now.
Yeah. I mean, the
Which
mask is
happens a
kind of
lot.
more so adulty. I don't think it's more.
No,
for
that was I.
kids,
Well,
But
yeah.
I think maybe like preteens. Maybe.
I think like
Teens,
the cartoony enough
teens.
is enough for kids to just be like, oh, cool, like it's colorful. There's wild stuff happening. But then there's a scene where like they're patting him down. They're taking like the bazooka out, and then one
Yeah,
detective's like wife's picture pops out. It's like you should
Yeah.
know you married her, and it's
Yeah.
like that's for
The balloon
adults.
animal scene.
Yeah.
You know.
well, I didn't like the over sexualization of Cameron
Yeah.
Diaz kind
Yeah.
of thing. Like, obviously, that's not for kids, but this is also made
Wow.
a comic. This is a comic by Dark Horse, which also does other like very
Edgy, darker comics,
Like,
yeah.
I did like
Hellboy.
Sin City,
Uh-huh.
Buffy,
Yeah.
those kinds of, which aren't really kiddish, but like we also know these shows. Where like we saw Hellboy in the early 2000s. We know Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Joss Whedon.
The Spawn
allowed to say-
movie.
am I
The
allowed to
hard
say
R,
his
really
name?
like.
Oh.
You can, but that wasn't the first of the Buffy.
No, there wasn't
Yeah.
a movie in the. Is it early 90s?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Early 90s? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Paul Rubens classic right there.
Rest in peace.
Well, I take that back. I'm gonna take that one back.
Can I know I'm jumping. Okay, I'm gonna jump a
Take that
little.
one back.
I'm gonna jump a little ahead, but like I used to
Mine.
get, and like I know I'm gonna once again I'll probably get heat for this, but I used to get
You're
Paul
not.
Rubens and Alan Cummings confused all the time.
I
How
mean, I
dare
could
you.
see that. I could see it. I could see it,
Like,
Yeah, I
especially
could see that.
especially in Son of the Mask. I can kind of see it.
Yeah, I was like not now, but like I feel like they both have like similar energies when it comes to cartoon characters.
I don't think.
Character
I,
actors.
I,
Character
I could see it
actors,
100%.
cartoon actors. Yeah, character
could see it.
actors, cartoon actors.
Now,
So-
yeah, like you said, but like back then, 100%.
Like if they did a
like,
biopic and Alan Cummings
Was-
played
Oh,
him,
that would be solid. I'd be cool with that.
Yeah, I
I'd
wouldn't
be
be-
totally
I
cool with
wouldn't
that.
be
maybe a
about
little
it.
more flamboyant TV, but
I could see it happen.
Anybody else have any little interest tidbits, facts before we rate this bad boy?
I don't really think. I was like, I don't really think. Oh, when I first saw this movie, I thought Dorian wearing the mask, which is the bad guy, was terrifying.
Yeah,
Oh, dude.
absolutely.
Oh my god,
That's like nightmare
Like his
fuel.
eyes
my
go
God.
red, man. You're like,
He
oh
just
my
had
god.
What's
that
what
thick,
you know
like,
that line he
thick
always
face,
says?
neck.
There's
always time
for one more kiss.
Oh, yeah.
And then I can only see him in Pulp Fiction doing just, you know.
Yeah, dude. Every time I see him in the
I
movie,
was
I'm
like, whoa! I hear the
feel-
saxophone come up. I'm like,
I feel like
"Ooh."
that's where the word cringe came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, ugh.
Just when he sucks in all those bullets and stuff.
No, I just the kiss part. You had it like.
Oh,
spot
yeah,
on,
yeah.
just
And
like,
then he has
there's
the
always
little-
time.
little
Oh,
tongue.
look,
Yeah.
ugh. Just no thank you.
It was always what always used to get me was his boss. I forget his name. Shit. When he brings him into the room and he's playing like he's just hitting a few balls.
Oh yeah,
He makes him lay
that
down,
scene
he
sticks
puts it
with
in
me
his
too.
mouth,
Yeah,
and I used to
And
always
he gets
as a
that
kid. Just like,
that little cut.
like,
Yeah,
I used to pop for that. Just I don't know. I used to just like, like just to see the golf club just come swinging at you
Yeah.
like that. Oh,
yeah,
Terrifying. But
yeah. And now,
let's rate it.
yeah. Who wants to kick it off?
Let's get you, Mooney. I don't feel like you haven't said that much
I
about
was
this
gonna say, I
film.
was like,
Yeah.
I feel like you didn't have too much to say.
I
Yeah.
had one thing I wanted to bring up, but I was
Oh,
like,
do
no,
it.
it's sad.
Bring
I
it
don't
up.
want to bring it up anymore.
No,
No,
bring
no,
it
you
up.
do
You
it.
have to know.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name, but the actor who plays Stanley Ipkiss's best friend.
Oh yeah.
I did not know his tragic story and everything. So when I read that
What is it?
he,
Oh my god.
you guys didn't know this?
No.
No?
Really?
Really?
Beep on that one.
Get out. Oh
Yeah, his
He unalived
He's
himself.
unalived
he
himself.
unalived
Thank you.
himself.
We'll have to put a bleep
His
in.
his girlfriend found him. So they were in bed together and they were making plans to
Watch The Mask?
what they're gonna do for breakfast the next day. Sure,
He
maybe.
said, "Yeah, make
I'm
reservations for that
literally
place,
looking
whatever.
this up
I
now.
don't."
And damn, I would have brought this up earlier.
No,
but I
yeah,
thought
bring it
we
up
were
now.
new.
Bring it up now. You're good.
And so they made plans like what they're gonna do the next day. And Richard Jenny, that's his name.
Nice pull.
Good save.
I just
Because I had no idea.
I was like,
I have my shit right here, and I was like,
I read it off of her.
Yeah, I know. We were there.
iPad.
We were there.
That he was on a lot of like antidepressant medication. I think I'd like to say maybe schizophrenic, maybe.
Damn, I'm trying to remember like what else he's been in now.
He was
Oh
in another
my
big thing that I remember, but
God.
his
So he
girlfriend
really
found
needed
him.
that mask.
Yeah.
He was
Oh
like,
my
I don't know.
Yeah,
He never
his
got
girlfriend
it.
found him
He
the
didn't
next
get it,
day.
dude.
oh
No.
my god, that's
No.
so sad.
Yeah. Especially after she was like, "Yeah, we just made plans. Like, we're gonna have pancakes for breakfast the next day."
He said, I got other
that's
plans.
So
Yeah, so
sad.
she
Oh
went
my
downstairs
God.
after she heard the gunshot and just found
Oh.
him in the kitchen.
Oh, damn. In the kitchen.
Yeah.
He was 49.
and that
No, he's known more for like his specials, and then he had like a TV series, Platypus Man. That's what he's known for.
Platypus Man.
Yeah, it was in 1995. He was
You
known
know
for
that?
being
Yeah, he was known for being like an improv stand-up comedian. That's so sad. Oh my god. Dr. Katz, professional therapist.
Yeah, I do know Dr. Katz. That's the first to do the squiggle vision.
There you go. He was in one episode of Everybody Hates Chris. I kind of
Hold on. When did Everyone Hates Chris? Now this is a whole nother podcast that we're doing.
2005. He was really good friends with Bill Maher.
I mean,
I'll do it.
I mean, I would. I like the way both. Well, I mean, you know,
Oh, I thought this was the.
I mean,
Aristocrat.
Religulous
No.
wasn't that bad, was it? Oh my god!
Oh my god, that's.
But I'm glad I
so-
brought it up
that's
now.
So
Yeah.
sad, though.
That's-
In
you
a
know,
sad way. I'm
It is a tragedy, and now we're gonna have to put a disclaimer. Like, if anybody out there needs help or whatever, please call the proper
the 1-800
channels
so
for that.
sad.
Yeah. So, Son of the Mask. Speaking of,
God, I was like, now.
When it transitions to like
no,
That's why I didn't want to bring it up.
2.5.
We still gotta rate it.
2.5.
Yeah. So
Okay,
with
but-
that being said, I give it about
The rating time. Yeah.
yeah, about one.
So
I was like, now,
I'm gonna end mine now on a
Shit.
happy note.
Oh god.
I think get it together over here, guys.
Woo!
They're gone. They lost it.
Overall, I think this movie was great. I think I give a lot of praise to Jim Carrey. He made the movie a lot better than I think it would have been without him, as we all know from Son of the Mask. I think his comedic timing and improvisations were really good. Like, the one scene that I looked into was like when he wears like the oversized teeth that was only supposed to be for like still shots,
Yeah.
but he learned how to talk with them in his
Yeah,
mouth.
he made that shit happen.
So
Yeah.
he made that happen. The whole scene where he pulls out like a wet condom. It was an improvised scene
Oh,
too.
hold on now. That was wet.
Yeah,
I like that she just said condom.
condom.
Wet condom.
Sorry.
Just run it under the tap and use it again.
I think he single-handedly made The Mask. I don't see The Mask being anyone else besides him. I still think when this movie came out 30 years ago, I still think it holds up till this day as being a memorable film and memorable Jim Carrey film. There's a lot of scenes that are like nostalgic to me. Overall, very entertaining. 3 out of 5.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's solid.
Mhm.
That's solid.
Yeah,
Mhm.
higher than Aliens, but you know, it's good.
Okay.
Just,
I got to do it every
I mean, I was
time.
gonna bring that
No,
up anyways, but I
I-
was gonna wait for the Son of the Mask.
You can bring it up
I'm
during
gonna,
Son of
no, I
Mask.
was like, I'm gonna give you the higher than Alien scoring just because I feel like these are two separate like entities almost.
I mean, they're both kind of alien-ish.
I mean,
Ish.
ish. Well, no, more so just like one is obviously like horror, sci-fi, and then the other one is obviously a comedy. Dark
I like comedy
dark-
movies.
Yeah, I was like dark comedy, but I don't know. I can't. I feel like I could do like a whole podcast and a half, if not more, on Jim Carrey and just all of the things that.
Oh
he's
well,
done.
yeah, you can.
Mm-hmm.
Like as a
What a
yeah,
life.
as a comedian, as a like, and you know, as improv and everything like that he does. Just I can't like. I know a lot of our friends like not. I can't knock on any wood because I'm not near anything, but a lot of our friends talk about specific actors and people that they will have certain emotions for when they finally are not around, and I really hope that this is many moons from now. But I feel like Jim Carrey would be my like one that I would be like, it would be like Joseph when Kobe died.
He's a Canadian treasure, you know.
He just he like made my childhood. Like all of his movies, just like I cannot express like how, and just from stories that I've heard of people talking to him, and obviously, well, I know Joseph and I kind of had the same story with Son of the Mask and Jamie Kennedy. Just I cannot think of somebody that I would feel that I would love to meet, and just I feel like they would just be an everyday normal person, and they would just get it. Like he knows what he's doing. He loves his craft. I definitely agree with Mooney. I think he made this movie. I think if you took him out, I think Robin Williams would have been fine. I think that he also has the physical comedy, but I think this was just Jim's time to shine, and I think that this helped boost him up into stardom and made him just the great comedian that he was, always will be. I will give it a 4 out of 5, only because of Jim Carrey. I feel like if it wasn't for him, we could do without it. I would say like a 2-ish out of 5. But given what he did for the movie, yeah, absolutely, slam dunk, love him.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like I haven't made it abundantly clear, probably enough, but Jim Carrey is a great actor. I appreciated what he did in this film. The letter that he wrote me as a child. I would love to own a Jim Carrey original painting, and I think maybe like right here might be the spot. Yeah, just right in this blank area. I would love to make that happen.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, I mean this movie really kind of was one of those movies that kind of formed my comedic things as like a child growing up. Like him, Chris Farley, others that I will mention as we get along to that point. I give it a 4 as well. I think that this is a really great movie, and I will rewatch it over and over again.
I would say, yeah, his definitely like top 5, like.
Oh yeah,
10,
like the
top
Mount
5,
Rushmore
yeah,
of
top
characters
5,
he's
top 10.
played.
Yeah, Stanley Ipkiss.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I'm at a 4 out of 5. He makes this movie. It's a great movie. I love the musical numbers. I love the set designs, the effects in '94. To me, look great. It's Jim Carrey at his like peak, man. You know, and like he had that wild run in the '90s, and you look back at it, and you're just like, yeah, this guy worked his ass off and like acted so well, and his comedy's always on point. And so I love the movie. There's has some issues here and there. Absolutely, every movie does. Like we said, Cameron Diaz. I wish she had more for her character than what she just has. Just the pretty blonde.
Yeah,
that's
but
basically.
I mean, it's the 90s.
Yeah, that was kind of
Yeah.
the setting of what that
That's
was.
the thing.
I don't see anybody ever doing the mask justice like he did. Like it was almost like he was born for that role.
Yeah.
You know, and so yeah, I give it a 4 out of 5. I love that movie. Like again, it's so rewatchable, man.
Yeah.
Like it has that value to it where you can just put it on any time and it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah.
You know what you're getting into. It's a fun time. Now, as we say all this, let's get into Son of the Mask.
Before we get into the Son of the Mask.
Excuse me,
That's
sir.
how I was just
I was like,
Excuse me, sir.
I'm sorry. I'm just gonna keep him here.
For now, yeah.
Before we get into Son of the Mask, I've always just thought about this, like, just because we're talking about Jim Carrey and how much we love and appreciate his talent. Like, is there, like, granted, I'm not sure if they will remake The Mask, if they will do another episode of this. Only time will tell, right? Yeah. But if they had to redo it, or if they had to do a reboot or whatever, who would you see? Like, I feel like there's not really like a physical comedian of our generation.
I had a person.
Question.
We talked about this
I
on
know
the way
you
here.
and I was like, we kind of mentioned this, but I feel like that time frame for this particular actress that we're talking about, or that you and I both slam dunked on this, kind of has passed. So I'm saying besides that person, like, because obviously
she would have been great.
She's kind of out. Yeah, I was like, she's kind of out.
That's
so
so unfortunate.
Shit!
Though,
I
already
already
know.
know. Oh yeah,
I know.
So me and Joseph at separate times at one point, I was telling Ryan, I think.
Thank you, Figgy.
Joseph was telling Munira. Joseph was telling Munira that we both thought that had things gone different and had like
government name
had this like deep dive of breakdown that we thought Amanda Bynes would have been the physical comedian actress of our generation.
Yeah.
And obviously things did not go that way.
The female Jim Carrey is what you said.
Yeah,
yes,
that's what we like.
100%.
Yeah, because I mean,
those early 2000s, her skit show, the Amanda show, like all that stuff.
All that, yeah.
Like even just like
she had it.
She had like the range of just like from going from just calm, cool, collected to just like way up here, way in your face, way angry, and then she could just bring it back here and be soft, cool.
And if they were gonna remake it, I would have been fine with the female Mask.
Yeah,
I think
that would be a
great.
With feminism and how it's going and everything.
That would have worked great instead of trying to just make another male.
Make it a dumbass pretty boy instead of Cameron Diaz or something. That would have been funny.
But aside from like her, is there somebody that you guys see as like a physical comedian of this time? Time being
that's the thing. They have to be physical and like I could throw names out there, but I'm really struggling to find somebody that would.
Would you argue that physical comedy has peaked and has now died off in the 90s and early 2000s? That's what I would argue.
I think that it'll have its time again as history sort of repeats, because like right now there's like a resurgence of like early 2000s fashion and everything.
Yeah.
Like it all kind of comes back around.
It
like,
circles around again
Yeah.
every now and then. I think like
Yeah.
physical comedy for a lot of time got ruined because a lot of skits on like Vine and TikTok and all that stuff. A lot of people
Yeah.
are trying to do their own version of physical comedy, so we don't see it that much anymore. But I would love for it to come back in the right way, like done right. You know,
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
I'll still watch. I love Jim Carrey in the Sonic movies. Like I feel like that's a little bit of what we used to have. Like he's still holding on to that,
but it's still Jim Carrey. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like we're still getting.
that's what I'm
the
saying. That's the
same-
struggle of like
Yeah.
finding what's that next actor that would like we can
Who
name
could
actors,
do
but
it.
that could do justice to that character,
Yeah.
to that story, to the script, to the director's vision, to also pays honor to the movie and the comic book. It's hard to find that actor. Like I don't.
But that's my argument.
Yeah.
Is like has that form of comedy potentially died out? Not that I want it to. It's just more of like a do we really see that type of comedy, that type of.
I hear what you're saying.
that
I don't
actor
think that
anymore.
we do a lot right now.
I think it's just like I don't know if maybe just we haven't found it yet, or maybe we're just missing out. Like I would argue maybe like a Ryan Reynolds has somewhat of that in a way. Like maybe not as physically able. He doesn't have that like energy, that sizzle, that pop, that almost like cocaine comedy is what I like to call it. Just because it's just like you're just
That's what they did,
the
yeah.
movement is just wild, right?
Yeah.
But I can't think of anybody off the top of my head that's very, and like I mean sound off in the comments if you can think of like a physical actor, but I just don't see that comedy like very like Larry Curly Moe kind of comedy, like
Yeah.
slapsticky, like very Robin Williams, very Jim Carrey, like you can name all even Adam Sandler kind of at a point like
Yeah.
you could argue that he's maybe like middle ground, but it's just hard to find. So I don't know. I just wanted to state
Well,
that.
think
It's
about
hard.
that all night
It's so
now.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Like,
like,
maybe we'll have to come up with that the next episode that we do.
But I mean,
Yeah.
like I feel like that's also a good leadway into Son of the Mask.
Yes, because they
Because of
they
Jim,
ran
yeah.
into that issue.
Yeah.
Son of the Mask though, they always wanted to make a second Mask. Jim Carrey was supposed to come back. They offered him $10 million to return for the sequel. The biggest reason why he did not come back is because of Ace Ventura 2 and because he did not feel challenged enough as an actor after Ace Ventura 2. And he didn't want to keep playing the same characters over and over again. Even though if you ask him today, he did say he would do a second Mask.
Even though he's doing his third Sonic?
Yeah, third Sonic.
yeah,
He did the second
he-
Dumb and Dumber.
Yes,
How many
exactly.
Ace Venturas came out?
Two.
Two.
Oh, there's only two?
There's only two.
Only
Why
two
do I
in
feel
an
like there's,
animated
like,
series.
oh,
series,
okay.
but I
Yes.
don't think he was in
Which
I
the
feel-
animated
No,
Ace
it was
Ventura showed it
different.
to the animated Mask.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that note.
So yeah, so he didn't want to come back at that time because he said that it just feels cheap. He doesn't feel like he's getting enough out of his acting career.
Yeah, like it's not challenging enough.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What would you say is his most challenging role? Because I feel like he tried to dip into like dramatic.
Yeah.
He
like-
did that like
roles.
horror
number
film
23
Number
or
23.
Which
Checker
yeah.
bombed.
It was
It
not
was
good.
it was rough.
The
Yeah.
Majestic, also kind of snoozy.
No,
if
well,
you would argue.
Truman Show,
Truman
Yeah.
Show is like like,
Eternal Sunshine.
Yeah.
I've never seen Eternal
so
Sunshine. I know you
good.
love
It's
that
pretty
movie.
good. Like if you like Garden State, you'll probably like.
I was up
Eternal
in
Sunshine
kind of
as
was like,
well.
man, with Garden State too.
I feel like his most challenging.
Whatever, like
Just
the
Which one?
scene. Yeah, I was like,
The Grinch. You saw how long it was to put that goddamn makeup on him?
Yeah,
Just sitting there. for
but it's
hours.
also but as far as like comedic chops
That's a
go,
dollar but,
No, I don't. I feel like that's the thing too, because like he did more like comedy stuff after. Like he did get into some like dramas and stuff like that, and some are good and some are there.
But I get the creative like burnout
Yeah.
almost, where he's just like, okay, I'm known for being a comedian. Like, is there something that I could really challenge
Mm-hmm.
myself and do?
I would take Jim Carrey as something that we saw not too far ago. Long Legs. I would take Jim Carrey as like a real hard.
Oh, in that
villain.
role, that would be
Yeah,
kinda sick.
not that role
Oh, but
specifically,
just-
but just something like that.
Oh, okay.
Like something
Like a-
way out of the
I mean,
ordinary.
number 23.
But
Like
if he
Dallas?
really took like that comedy, but like turned the dial in a different direction of like sinister, it might be a good role.
I feel like as he gets older, because we found out today he's only 62. He might have the potential to do something later on. I mean, if he
Just
wanted
saying.
to. I don't really see him being horror material, but I mean, like you
That's
never
what
know.
might make it-
Like one of my favorite like Nicolas Cage movies, because I know that's where you're twisting right now.
Yeah.
Is the one where what is it? It's like set in like a Chuck E. Cheese rip.
Oh yeah,
Ooh.
the shit. Yeah,
you know what I'm
the
talking about.
where it was like the Weaselton some show. Fuck, I forget what it was. Shit. That was actually a pretty
It's,
decent movie.
Mooney, pull it up.
He had like
But
12
no-
lines the
he-
entire
no, he didn't
movie.
say- I don't believe he said anything.
He did. He said like I
Maybe
think
at
a
the
total
end.
of 12 lines.
Yeah, I was like, he didn't say like it was
It's
really
very
like-
minimal.
There was a lot of
Yeah.
physical, like facial expressions.
Face Off?
No, not
great
Face Off.
movie, but no.
That is also a
love Face Off.
great movie.
You said face, and I
I
was.
I could
Oh,
do
no,
I could
Chuck
do
E.
a
Cheese
whole
type.
podcast on Face Off.
Oh my God,
I'm not gonna lie.
I haven't seen that movie in so long. I don't
Watch it.
know.
It still holds up.
It's something Wonderland. Willy's Wonderland.
Yes,
Willy's
maybe. I
Wonderland?
think.
Willy's Wonderland.
Hey.
Got it without the computer. What up? But no, like I mean something,
La-di-da.
but something like that where
What is this
I mean
movie?
he's Nicolas Cage isn't the bad guy in Willy's Wonderland. He's the good guy, but he doesn't speak a lot. I feel like I would almost challenge Jim Carrey to do kind of more of a sinister-ish kind of role, but in a non-speaking way. Like
Sure,
I know
he
it
could do
doesn't
that too.
Make him as much money, but at this point, like,
I mean-
is he after money? Is he looking for more just a challenge, or is he looking for a paycheck?
I think that he would be more for the challenge than the paycheck.
Yeah,
I think
like, I would
he's
question
sort of
that.
taken a step back from the spotlight
Yeah.
and pursued other things that make him happy in
Well,
this
he
life.
also had like a lot of personal drama
Yeah.
with
Yes,
his
he did.
relationships happen.
Yes.
So I'm
Speaking
wondering.
of
Broke him a bit.
Yeah.
Like that's we got into the art and that like all those things happened. Like I'm with him being like in the Sonic movies. Like I appreciate him being like I want to gain weight. I want to do the actual Eggman the right way. I don't want to
Yeah.
just be Jim Carrey here. He's Eggman. Like let me gain weight. Let me get fat. I want to
Yeah.
do it. Like
I'm
he's
on a
committed
planet
to it,
full of
man. Like,
mushrooms.
let him work. Let the man cook.
But I am-
He's done it for years.
But I am all for like these comedian actors who like are known for just like their comedy bits. They're kind of like their shtick or whatever, and they're really trying to be like, can they tap into this type of role? Like, can they be like more drama? Can they be more like break out of that typecasting kind of thing? Like with Adam Sandler, and you have like what is it, the Gemstone?
Uncut Gems.
Yeah,
Uncut Gems.
Uncut Gems.
Yeah, so I mean, like, and like he was great in that role. So I mean,
Yep.
like, can we have another one of those situations where like you have somebody who is known for being, they're great comedic timing, but they're turning, and then in the flip side as well, do you have a dramatic actor who can actually have
They can flip it to
they can play a bit and have great comedic timing, because comedic timing is something that is really tough to do. I mean, like you can have a script written for you, but if you're not hitting,
Yeah, hit
Delivery.
those
Yeah.
beats.
yeah, it's tough. It's hard. So I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. I don't want to take too much away from Son of the Mask because obviously we
No,
really
this is a
wanna
great
talk about
discussion.
Oh, I
points,
think
'cause-
we're gonna have the perfect amount of
No,
time
yeah.
probably for Son of the Mask.
Yeah,
Yep.
probably. Yeah.
We're gonna need a little
but
bit of time.
getting into Son of the Mask, originally, after Jim Carrey didn't want to do it, was stuck in production, trying to figure out a new director and new star attraction. They offered the lead role to Jack Black and Ryan Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
They turned it down.
As they, I mean,
I heard Ryan Reynolds really wanted it. That's what I heard.
I feel like if it was done right, he would have been like,
well, it was 2005. Where was he
Van
at in his
Wilder
career?
already out at that point?
Van Wilder was already out.
This
Yeah.
might have
Okay.
been around X-Men
Speaking
Wolverine
of
Origins,
Cal,
which
Cal
was
Penn
rough.
already being in it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Origins was already out.
Origins was out.
Blade Trinity already came
Yes,
out.
Blade Trinity was already out. This is
I think that's
2 years
what he did
before.
instead.
Oh,
Is that what he did instead?
Blade Trinity, or Blade? Was it Blade 2? Was he in Blade 2?
maybe.
Shit, I
Blade
don't even
Trinity
know.
was 2004, so he had already done it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was doing Waiting.
Oh, okay.
That was
Which-
that was the right
I'm
move.
glad.
That was the move, yeah, that
That's
was
the
the
right
move.
move. I think
Waiting
a lot of
versus
actors
Son of the
probably
Mask.
dodged a fucking bullet
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
by being like, no,
So this, I don't want to like take too much because I feel like I've done like monologue after monologue about it. But with Son of the Mask, I know everybody hates it, and I know it's gotten so much hate, but it really breaks my heart. Like I almost can't hate it, and I almost just feel for it at a point, because like I was telling you guys earlier, Joseph already knows this, but if you go on YouTube and you look at Jamie Kennedy's account, he posts like a 3-part webisode about the Son of the Mask and how he was like recruited for it, and the offering, and like the filming and everything that kind of came along with it. And just listening to those 3 episodes, and granted, like this is his point of view, I don't know any other parts of it. Like I grew up watching the James Kennedy Experiment, all that stuff, but listening to him talk about it, I'm like, I 100% see where they were like, oh no, like Jim Carrey, whatever, won't do it. we want somebody else. We want you, because he had already done Scream, the James Kennedy Experiment, all that stuff. Like, we really think that you can do this. And he was very much on the fence about it, but they like described it to him one time, and they were like, no, we want it to be like, you're not going to be the Mask. It's a very much like, you are kind of like, you know, this like kid, and you don't want to have a family, but your wife wants to have a family, and it's kind of intermingled with like the Mask kind of energy, and then the comic book series. And he kind of was almost like convinced to do it, it seems, based on his perspective and his side of the story. And learning about kind of what they wanted the storyline to be, I very much see how he could have just gone with it and been like, yeah, like, this is how much I want to see. And it's hard watching it and knowing that, because you see it, how, like, they wanted it to be very much like, he's like this guy, he kind of wants kids, he's married.
He's on the fence.
He's not ready to be a dad, but he kind of gets forced into it. And then, like, all the shenanigans ensue. And I feel like they took, you know, once again, very tossed between, he wants to have his creative side and his team and do right. Like, even he says, like, during the whole series, he's like, I had my writers, I was writing every day to come up with ideas for this, and then, like, things got thrown out and then added in, and, like, I wasn't even supposed to be the Mask up until, like, one scene, and then I got more scenes added into it, and I feel like just the creative control got lost. And that's where it broke me, because I feel like if Jamie Kennedy was kind of almost given a chance, almost like what's his name, Pauly Shore, like, if they were given like the creative ability or almost the freedom to do things, that maybe they could show us the potential, just like Brendan Fraser. Like, you know, what's to say that they're not known for these comedic roles, these action roles, whatever roles, that they could break out and be, you know, these people, these actors that could win awards, that can do these great things.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, I highly recommend. You've seen it, right?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Watched it,
yeah,
seen it, listened
I've
to
seen
it. I highly recommend for both of you.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but that's worth a
those
watch
3
probably.
parts, because I feel like if you watch that and then watch the movie, or watch the movie and then watch that, I feel like your take on Jamie Kennedy, I feel like he doesn't deserve the rap.
Well,
No.
So my problem with Son of the Mask isn't necessarily with Jamie Kennedy, because, you know, it should be whoever is embodying the mask has their own personality and their own flair that they can put on the character. And that's what Jim Carrey told him when he, like, approached him at an award show, and he's like, hey man, they want me to do this, I don't know, should I do it? And he said, yeah, do it, just have fun with it. Like, do your own thing.
He even asked James
James Carrey,
and he was like, if you don't want me to do this, I won't do it. And he goes, no man, you do you.
Yeah.
Which to me says, like, one thing about Jim Carrey as, like, a person, as an actor, and just like, no, like, do your thing. Because I've always believed too, and I know I've spoken to you about this a million times, like, whether they do reboots or, like, new versions of anything, or, like, you know, sequels to whatever, like, isn't that just what theater is?
Yeah.
Like, how many times have you seen the same version of Romeo and Juliet?
Yeah.
It's the same shit, but it's different actors. Like, that's
Different portrayals.
that's ultimately where movies come from. It's just a version of theater. So, like, we are going to get reboots. We are going to get sequels. We are going to get retellings or origins or whatever it is. So, like, at some point, we have to just say, like, we accept it as a point. Maybe they shouldn't be remade. Maybe Ferris Bueller shouldn't be remade. Like, it was great the first time, right? Like, maybe Back to the Future was great enough as it was. But it is what it is. We're getting musicals on Broadway. We're getting reboots potentially talked about. Like, it is what it is. So, like, we can either accept it, or, like, you know, our generation's going to die out and the new generation's going to accept it because they have no other option. That was really deep. I'm so sorry.
No, I mean,
but
facts.
I don't know. Like, I feel for Jamie
I do
Kennedy.
too. Because I don't know if it was in the video. I don't remember, or because he's quoted as saying, because they asked him before, like, why'd you do the movie? And he said, I have 2.5 million reasons to do
which
the
is
movie.
a lot less than 10 million.
And it's
if
like,
you told
it
me.
feels like more of like a
But he's not
bitter
a Jim
take from
Carrey.
it, being like, that's just the money at this point. Which I felt like at one point he was excited to do this.
He was, and then
he
he
was
probably
just-
got jaded from the creative.
So the fact that now he's
experience
like,
of
well, I
it.
had 2.5 million reasons to do it. It's more so like, well, at
Yeah.
least I got that.
Yeah.
But this is not what I was my vision, or the vision that was sold to me.
I
Like-
think he just got sold on Hollywood. I think
Yeah.
that if somebody gave you enough, like, look at the pretty picture, look at the pretty pony, look at all this thing that you could like if you do this movie, you're gonna get this money, and then you're gonna get the sequel. And
Like,
then
look
you're
at Jim
gonna get the other
Carrey. Look how
sequel.
he killed it after
and
that,
then
like-
and then after this sequel, we're gonna give you like an action thriller, and like he was in the works to do like Without a Paddle. He was in the works to do like all of these different like movies.
Who
and
is he supposed to
comedies.
be in Without a Paddle, though?
I don't know which character. I'd have to
I have a feeling I know what character
I
would
mean,
have been.
yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I don't want to blame Jamie Kennedy, and like, I feel like
I never
at this
do, no.
point,
I don't
Well, no,
either.
I feel like at this point he was a victim, but I feel like his career kind of like because Son of the Mask is known as being such a like he kind of got. That's the best way I could describe it.
I mean, that's the thumbnail right there.
Like that.
Just, you
Like,
know,
I
just a little.
I just feel like he got a bad rap, and I want him to have our opportunities. Like we met him at Monsterpalooza, like what 2 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like I feel like he was just kind of in the corner and just sunken and null and void.
He
and,
was like, this is my thing as I go to places.
Yeah, and I.
But
Want
he
more-
was
I want
very
more for him.
nice.
No, he was nice. Like I'm not saying he's mean. Just I wish that he had something.
He's due for it.
He needs a Brendan Fraser. He needs a whale.
That would be awesome.
I
That would be
was like,
cool.
he needs-
Him, Pauly
Yeah.
Shore.
I
Like,
want
I'm waiting
that
for
for
Pauly Shore
everyone.
to do.
because I love him in Scream.
Yeah.
Like Jamie
I think
Kennedy in Scream is perfection.
she knows that he's my favorite part of Scream.
He's great.
Yeah.
Like even the like his what is it? His nephew, niece, and the like the
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
reboots
Yeah,
or whatever. Like are like you just feel his energy through them. Like I think he deserves more than what he's worth. I wish they could bring him back in Scream. Like if there was potential, like some loophole or whatever, and he could have that
Unalive him?
resurgence like David Arquette or Courtney
Scream
Cox or
1,
whatever.
the prequel.
Yeah.
The prequel to
Well,
Scream.
no, just anything. I think, like, especially after listening to his side of the story and everything, it's just so, like, it's hard for me to shit on this movie that much because of how heartbreaking his story is.
Yeah.
I think like one thing that so I didn't watch the 3-part YouTube series, but I read an article where I think it was released around the same time as the YouTube video that came out in 2021. So maybe it was a review on that. So one thing that I took from it was that Jamie Kennedy said that there is an extended version, extended cut of the film where there is 38 minutes of extra footage that was not included in the original film, and then that extra footage would have saved the film because there's not a lot of CGI. It was more a lot to do with like the storytelling and like his character progression throughout the film that they cut and added a lot more of those like cartoony things instead.
There's a whole, I want to say like most of the second act of this movie just turns into a Looney Tunes
Yeah.
segment, and it's like it's shown like he's watching the baby's watching this Looney Tunes cartoon, and they basically take it verbatim and then just run with it for like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't need it.
No.
I don't need this at all. And I feel for it because I feel that there is somewhat of a story to be told with the family dynamic there, and they just don't give it to you. It's just very loose. And
Yeah.
I feel like it suffers a lot from that, in my opinion.
No, I could see that 100%. Especially with, like, obviously Alan Cummings as Loki, Bob Hoskins as Odin.
Yeah, poor Bob Hoskins.
Oh, poor Bob Hoskins, man. Well, we talked about it earlier. What a
okay.
resume.
At
What?
some point,
Oh,
though,
what a
resume.
he
Woman's like, dude.
he makes these choices.
That's what we're saying. That's
No,
exactly
yeah,
before the
like,
podcast.
Some
That's
are like-
exactly
and
what we
some
were
are just
saying.
like, why, bro?
Yeah.
Why are you in
Hook,
this?
banger. Who Framed Roger Rabbit, banger. Super Mario Brothers movie, middle.
arguably banger, but
Our,
like
Yeah.
We said banger. We'll put
People
it
could argue,
mid-level.
yeah.
But then you go, what was the one where it's like the apocalyptic kind of movie where they're like, it's almost Road Warrior-esque. I forget what it is. I wish I looked it
Max?
up. It's not Mad Max, but it's
I
like,
was like,
it
oh,
has
yeah.
aspects of that. Like
Well,
it's not.
What was his last movie again? The
oh, it was
Snow White
it was
and the-
Snow White and the
Snow
Huntsman.
White and the Huntsman.
you know, like you
know.
did make those choices, but it's like, what a resume, man.
Yeah.
Just
But
to
I
have those
question,
highs and
like-
lows.
Well, no, because
Yeah.
some actors, especially as they get older, like they make these choices to be in movies because they have like grandkids, kids
Yeah.
that like are like, I love Sonic or I love this. Like, Grandpa, oh, you got offered this? Like, we would love to see. And they just do it for the kids. Like, it's not necessarily the sake of, like, they think that this is going to be their role to take them to, like, you know, Oscar-worthy accomplishments. Like, they're really just, you know, they're just doing it for the love at that point. Like, at some point,
Yeah,
like,
Street
as
Fighter.
an actor, I can't imagine that you're already making money. Like, at what point are you just like, you know what, I just want to do this as like a passion project, or just I grew up with, you know, Transformers or whatever it is. Like,
Or
why
I'm
don't I
signed to a
just-
certain picture deal and I have
Or
to
yeah, or like all these people,
contractually
yeah, like Netflix,
obligated
you
to.
see where it's just like the same actors and actresses that you see in Netflix movies, where you're just
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, like I remember seeing her in this, like
Yeah.
oh, she's signed to
They
this.
sign like a 10
Yeah,
picture
however
deal
many-
usually.
yeah,
things
exactly.
like that. Which, like, honestly, like that's the deal. Like, Netflix, sign me up. Like, I'll do a 10 picture
Yeah.
deal.
You're gonna get some stinkers out of it, but you're gonna
Yeah.
get paid.
But at least you're
Yeah.
under a contract for like 10 Netflix movies. Like,
Yeah.
I'm in, dude.
Yeah.
So the budget for this one, let me give you the budget for the original Mask again, 18 to 23 million. The budget for the sequel was 84 to 100 million.
Holy shit.
Yep.
Again, original Mask, 351.6 million in the box office.
Would've made
box
like
office
half.
gross. Sell the Mask, $59.9 million.
The fact that it made
That's
that
rough.
much though.
59.
It was everybody
It
going
was
to-
the interest of like
It was like, oh, they're making a
Mask.
second
Yeah.
one, and then you get that like other flood of like, oh, yo, it's terrible. You got to see how bad this shit is, and then
Yeah.
people go,
Mhm.
oh.
Like the
I gotta see it. I want to see how
Yeah.
bad it is. Like, let's
Yeah.
just go watch it. Yeah.
The fact that the what's his name from The Room is like, no, I finally did it. I'm a great movie director. No, you're not. No, you're not. We like how
Tommy
bad it
Wiseau?
is, and it is what it is. Yeah, that's your
Playing the
claim to
Joker.
fame of like you did this. It's
But I
bad, and we
understand
watch
why
it.
They did, like, this is a comic. It's based on a comic book series. Like, I understand why they made a sequel, especially with like the success that they had off the first one. So I definitely understand why they made a second one without Stanley Ipkiss, like they're doing, because that's how the comic book series goes. It's the mask just floats
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
time and space, and then it finds who it finds. And
Its
they use
host
it to
or whatever,
it
yeah.
finds
Mhm.
their advantage and so on and so forth. So I'm not mad about
A
them
different
making a
story.
sequel.
Yeah.
But I just feel like, I mean, you can absolutely, like, I feel like if you did not tell me that this was made in the year that it was made, I could almost pinpoint it.
Mhm.
Because of, like,
Yeah.
just the scenery, like, even, like, I know we were talking about earlier, like, the house
Yeah, I was about to
that
say
Jamie
that.
Kennedy, yeah, like, looks like Cat in the Hat.
Which came out 2 years prior to
Like,
this. So
Mike Myers is hiding in that closet in a cat suit.
yeah.
I also kind of, to go along with like the depiction of the way the house looks and the sets and everything that they did, there's 2 times of day in this movie, and it's perpetually like 7 o'clock in the morning to like 3 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
and that's the only 2 times a day that it is. It was so strange to see just like
That's Australia, baby.
the sun was barely up or it was already gone, and that was it.
Life
It's
is
just
like below the
The
equator.
quality of
like,
the film
I-
is
I
so
don't
bad.
know.
It's like 94 just looks so much better than the
Yeah.
2005 film. Like, it's just wild.
Yeah.
The only returning actor in both movies is Ben Steen.
mhm.
He's the only one that
Yeah,
is
he
in
comes
the
back in
mask.
Whoa,
and
whoa,
stuff.
whoa, whoa.
Yeah, say that one more time.
Say that one more time.
Ben Steen. Stein.
Ben Stein.
Stein.
I mean, it's not much of a difference, but anyways, he's in both movies.
Ben Steen.
Did you not see his game show?
When Ben Steen's money.
When Ben Steen's money?
When Ben
And
Steen.
then director Lawrence Guterman. Did I say that right, guys?
It's
I
Gudar
have no idea.
Gudarman.
Just to bring this movie back, since we've talked about it every other pod, he compared Son of the Mask and The Mask to Alien and Aliens.
How?
He says they're both different movies, but in the same universe.
Yeah,
That was his
but
take.
one is good and one is
Oh,
good,
okay,
and
so
one is
very
good and
different.
one is horrible.
I'm sorry, they're both in the same universe?
Yes, but they're just different movies.
I would argue that this would be more in the same universe as Avengers.
Because of Loki.
Yeah.
But then they're just
this is a way better Thor movie than the ones that we got.
Oh, that was.
In the
Just give your
beginning?
takes then.
Hit us
Just
with
say
it.
it.
The
So-
first 2 Thor movies?
No.
Start
No.
cooking, Mooney.
Yeah, I was like, let's go, movie.
Put the
I
pan
have
on the
not
burner.
seen all the Thor movies. I've seen the one that counted, and that was about it.
Which one was the one that counted?
The 4th one, Ragnarok. That one. That's the only one I saw.
Yeah, that's the one. that
My hot take for this is I preferred Alan Cummings as Loki than I did as Tom Hiddleston as
Oh,
Loki.
damn,
I
that's a
fucking
hot take.
Hated.
That's a hot
I
take.
hate Tom Hiddleston's Loki.
counted.
He's the
That's-
reason why I probably was like I can't
I feel like
like.
that's the highest praise Son of the Mask has ever
that
gotten.
is-
I feel like
No,
there's
that's-
two ends of the spectrum there.
I feel like once people see that's
Let them.
gonna upset.
Let
people.
them.
That's
Let
gonna
me-
I hope it does.
I'm willing to upset
Let us know in the
everyone.
comments how you feel about that
No,
statement.
I
Tell
already
us
know.
it.
We
Tell
already
us
know.
it.
They're gonna
I
show
wanna
up
hear
like
it.
the
I see the
Avengers at
future
end
and the
game.
future.
I hope they do.
Everyone loves Tom
Flood
Hiddleston's
it.
Loki, and I get it.
No.
But
I
I
never
don't.
said that I do. I could.
didn't say you,
I could.
but people
yeah.
do.
I was like, I could
I
with or
don't.
without.
I don't. I think.
I think that's arguably Tom Hiddleston's best role. Like, what else has he been in?
I
have two other
have
properties.
no idea
Yeah, 'cause
what
I
he's
can't.
done. I've only seen him
There
in
you go.
I
Avengers.
think the only thing I've
I
ever
don't
seen him
even
in
know.
is that horror movie, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
Which horror movie?
Oh,
It was.
Dating Taylor Swift.
It took place in some like haunted
It's a horror
house.
movie.
It was like an
I was like,
older
Oh,
dated
I know
Taylor
which one
Swift?
you're talking about.
That's spooky.
Don't come for
Crimson
me,
Peak.
Swifties.
Crimson Peak.
I
Yeah,
saw
that
Crimson
was
Peak.
Ooh, and that one was garbage
Oh,
too,
that
wasn't
was
it?
garbage
bad.
too.
It was really bad.
Thank you.
Really bad movie.
That's
Rented on Redbox.
hot take.
It's mad.
I just
So the Mask cinema
Red
score
box.
B minus.
B minus
Yeah.
for Son of the
That's it?
That's a
Mask.
cinema
For
score.
B or D?
Yeah, B
Ew.
minus.
What's the highest you can get?
A plus? Yeah, it's an A
What's
plus
the
to
lowest?
F minus.
Um,
Gotta be
So it
minus.
was like good.
people are like, eh.
It
I
passed.
know,
Interesting.
Joseph, I know you're super into wrestling.
Yeah.
Why does Alan Cumming look like he belongs in a wrestling ring?
Yes. That's one of the things that I
'Cause
have
he-
here.
Oh, is that a
literally
real?
looked-
Oh,
Do you
I
want to
thought there
know
was
the
a
answer?
reason. I thought
like
there
Do you
was
want
a-
to know the
he
answer?
could take down the Undertaker.
That's
You wanna know the
exactly what I
reason?
compared him to.
Like he could be
Is that what
facing.
weird
he
is?
looks
No,
like,
no. Do you want to know the reason?
Yeah, I do. I would
High fashion. That's why.
I'm sorry. The highest fashion that Alan Cummings has had is in Traitors.
Oh my God.
I mean, he's
Some great fashion looks.
Gorgeous.
Slay.
He was my favorite part of that.
I'll say that.
Traitors.
I will never say that in real life, but I will say that for Alan Cumming.
I want more. I want to know more about him. Like I know, like he's in the Flintstones. He
Spy
is a-
Kids.
We will
Spy
get there.
Kids.
like,
We will
he's
get
in
there.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
I
he-
wanted him
You
to
name
be.
it. Yeah, we'll
I
get
wanted
there.
to cast him so bad, and that's the Riddler.
Oh, I
I
mean,
thought
Yeah.
he would have killed
think
it.
about that.
Over Jim Carrey or in a separate
In
Riddler
another
movie?
property? Or
A
as
different Batman world. I'd like Jim Carrey would have done fine if he had a better.
Yeah. Alan Cummings is just like when I think of character actors, like he's definitely in the top 10 for
Yeah.
sure.
Mhm.
Like of people that I'm just like, oh, you're definitely like I need a kooky dude.
Mm.
Absolutely. And he's got this like some sort of like even in what was that movie he did with Cher and was it Cabaret? No.
No,
Not me.
you're going
Burlesque.
you're
Burlesque.
going into a territory I don't know a lot
No,
about.
he did Burlesque and it was
offense.
with Christina Aguilera and Cher, and he's just like he's not like a big character. He's very
It's a good
minor.
movie.
Yeah, he's very minor, but he's just got this like sass about him that I just
Oh, wow.
love, and it's almost sinister. Where like I know he's the bad guy in this one, technically speaking, but I just like I want more. I want more of his like sass, and I know he does Traitors, and he's just very
You get that
He's
sass
great.
traders for
fashion,
sure.
yeah,
He's so
fashion. I
Oh,
want
my
more. I
hats.
want more Alan Cummings. Like he's just great. I want to see more shit from him.
I feel like his character, his portrayal of Loki reminded me of his character a little bit, or like the mannerism of his character in Spy Kids when he was
Oh yeah.
quote unquote the bad guy in the beginning. What was his name? Floop?
I don't know. I just think of the
Floops,
thumbs.
something.
I just remember they
I
put
just
a
the
bag.
thumbs
I just
like
remember they put a bag in a microwave and it made him a freaking
Big Mac?
pounder, Big Mac. Yeah, I was
Or,
like,
yeah,
I
a whole
remember.
McDonald's meal, and I was like,
I
what's
was like,
that
I
so
want one of
bad?
those. I want one of
That's what I
those.
wanted in my
Where's
life.
my
to look
fucking
like.
jetpack? I'm still waiting on that one.
Flying cars, everything.
Yeah. Where's my McDonald's meal?
Never gonna get it.
Fucking bullshit.
happen.
I really who is this movie for?
I feel like it's more for kids than
Is it?
like I feel like they went heavy that direction more so
Very
than
cartoony. I know
yeah.
that. I can't say that enough.
I feel like they didn't know who it was for either.
I don't know that they wanted to make it like the first one like we brought up. It was had scenes for adults, had scenes for kids. I feel like this one just like
Double down.
heavy
on
on the like, hey man, early 2000s, a lot of kids
Yeah.
movies were coming out around those times, and they're like, let's just double down, bring back the mask. Jim doesn't want to do it, which makes this. It's the guy that made Cats and Dogs as well, so it's like, that
That's a
same
good
realm,
Joseph likes that movie
Cats
too.
and Dogs
I gave
one.
him
But I don't
so
like
much
the
shit
sequel.
in
I
the
don't
car.
like the sequel.
I told her,
What is
I
it?
was
Pussy
Kitty
galore?
galore?
Kitty galore? Oh, my bad. Sorry.
Galore?
Is that out of left field?
Can you just like bleep that part out?
No,
No, we got to bleep out other words more than pussy galore.
we're keeping
Saying
pussy
it.
galore.
You're gonna bring her to life. Like Beetlejuice.
You're messing with powers.
You are messing with powers you do not understand.
This would be the great
Cut
time
the
for
shit.
Figgy and Normal to just
I know,
like
just
pounce
like,
like right behind
They
us.
have been, jeez.
It's true. It was the most nominated movie in 2005 for Razzies.
Yeah, I
It
can see
I
that.
mean,
was?
that's a given.
So, riffing off of yours, so it was nominated for 18 awards on the categories of the worst sequel,
Holy shit.
the worst couple, the worst song,
Oh, worst
actor, and everything, and anything you can imagine being for being the worst movie,
What was the
it
worst
was
song?
nominated.
What was the worst song?
I don't know.
I literally have a note in here that I was just like, oh, the song.
Oh, the
Before-
what is he saying? Can you that
Can you feel the
Oh
night?
yeah.
No, can you feel
No,
love?
yeah, yeah.
There's like, it's not a song where he's singing. There's a song right before the party, and it literally sounds like AI tried to rip off All Star.
I don't remember.
It's probably
by
some.
Smash Mouth.
That might be
Yeah,
something that
That's
actually
literally
happened.
what it sounds like. Like I was just like, it's super whiny. Like it almost sounds like they took like a kid's bop and like tried to.
Speaking of
Just cut that
Kitty
out.
Galore.
So sorry.
You had to mess with those powers, huh?
Mhm.
You know,
The pussy galore.
Hey.
What was the song that Jamie Kennedy sang in the movie?
It's not. She's a lady.
It's
Because
not,
that's a
it's,
different one. But it's like a Neil Diamond-y song, isn't
yeah,
it?
it's crap.
Well,
Whatever the song he sang, it
You're
was
in my head.
You're
Like,
too
no,
good to be true.
Can't take my eyes off you.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good job,
everybody
Joseph.
together.
that was the song that got nominated for the worst song.
Yeah, I can see
So
that.
out of those 18 awards, it won 7 awards that year. One of them
All
being
Razzies.
worst sequel. No, it was a bunch of different things. There were at
Oh,
least
okay.
like,
Like different, yeah.
They're just tearing
yeah.
that movie apart
Yeah.
for sure.
but I thought it was, since we are a sequel podcast, it won the one for the worst sequel
Hey, well, there we go.
I mean,
If we're going
For
on
that year,
Razzies,
though.
for that year,
Yeah.
for
I feel
2005.
like if you go on YouTube, whatever, like it's always going to be listed.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, correct me if I'm wrong. For our intro episode, was this your worst sequel
yes,
too?
it was.
Mm.
Okay.
Oh,
It
okay.
was. Only, I mean, is that to say that it's the worst movie ever? No, because there's some duds out there.
Mhm.
But the main point that I had was that the first one was so good because of something, and then the second one was so bad because they couldn't replicate
Yeah.
how good a certain someone was in that movie.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like, and we brought it up, I feel bad for the cast more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, like,
Like, I'm just out here trying to make a movie.
because
man.
I would be, if you told me like Alan Cummings, Jamie Kennedy, they're gonna make a Mask movie, I'd be like, interest peaked. How's it gonna go?
Yeah,
You
and
know,
then you
like,
find
where
out
we
who
gonna go?
was playing who, and you went, oh,
No.
wait a minute.
Like,
Because you
It's
said,
as early 2000s as it comes.
yes, but you said that if the roles maybe were reversed, like you would have
Oh,
been very
yes.
interested to see Alan Cumming play.
I
the
take
Mask.
Jamie, like as much as I love Jamie Kennedy, there was a moment, especially if you go back and you watch his little series, where he is really like, I think he's really tying with, do I do this, or like, do I stick with like my experiment whole thing? And I almost wonder where his career would have gone had he not done Son of the Mask. Like, would he have done more? Would he have done more comedic stuff? Like, would he be on like
I say
maybe a
no.
Bravo? Would he have been on like an E show of him of sorts? Would he have done, you know, like something on MTV where he could have like almost been like what's that guy that has like all the shows?
Rob
The
Dyrdek.
ridiculous, yeah. Like, would he have been like almost like a Rob Dyrdek
You were ready for it.
ish
Because
kind of thing? I know there's a whole thing with Rob Dyrdek.
yeah,
and
that'll be a
MTV,
whole
but
nother episode.
We're not gonna mess with those powers. But like, would he have almost done, you know, like, or like, would they have potentially brought him back? Like, would he have gotten more serious roles? Yada yada yada. And I feel like he truly wasn't in his element. Like, I feel like Jamie Kennedy really sparks when he has more creative control.
What would that be though?
Jamie Kennedy Experience.
Okay,
Malibu's
which
Most
was
Wanted.
there were definitely like you see clips of that now that are resurfacing, and it's like, oh, that's actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
But he also did things like Malibu's Most Wanted,
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
and
I
you're
did-
like, well, okay, you've
Malibu's Most Wanted.
what?
That's literally, I would just said that.
Well, I know that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like you can say like, was it Son of the Mask or was it Malibu's Most Wanted?
Yeah.
Like there's certain creative decision, and wasn't Cal Penn in that too, or am I thinking of someone else? Is that another guy? I don't remember all the cast that was in it.
Yeah, it was.
The
like-
I was
cast
just,
is-
I was seeing like
that.
maybe if those connect as well,
Maybe.
in a certain way, but I think
I
I
got
might
you.
be. I think I might be mistaken on that.
I'm just seeing everybody from that movie on account.
Cal
I'm
Penn?
not-
Yes,
Yeah.
you are correct.
Yeah.
Hey.
There you
I'm
go.
just thinking,
Nice.
like-
Nice pull.
I'm just thinking Cal Penn was in Van Wilder
Mhm.
with Ryan Reynolds, who was almost offered this role.
Yeah.
Mhm. It all connects.
I don't know.
Everything
I
is
feel
connected.
like the team really just wanted him. Like, there's the whole story, and he tells it on his thing, and I think you guys mentioned it too, that there was a moment where he was doing like a show, and like one of the executives came up to him and was like, "We're gonna double our offer. Like, we really want you to do this movie."
So what were they gonna give him? 500,000?
I think that he is due. But I think a lot of comedians, especially in the 90s, that had like their little 15 minutes, if you will, if you want to call it that, I think that they are due for their, like, just like Brendan Fraser, like he had some bangers and then he left and now he came back and he won an Oscar.
I
and
feel like him leaving was a little different of a circumstance.
His is
You know?
definitely a little bit different. I'm just saying, like, I want to give credit where credit is due. I don't think that just because what we've seen from certain actors
Absolutely not.
is their best. Like, they might have just gotten into comedy because it might have been their niche. It might have been what's best. It might have been what they're good at. It might have been their entry. It might have been whatever you want to call it. I just think that certain actors we might be able to see more from. Like, I think, like, same thing with Jim Carrey. Like, you guys were talking about, like, if he was given the proper, storyline or the proper part, he could pull off, like, a Nicolas Cage and Longlegs kind of situation.
Something like that.
Yeah. So, my only last thing on Son of the Mask, this will probably hurt Joseph, is
He's
I
ready.
was saying I made the connection, well, not the connection, but I compared it to
Citizen Kane.
in a parallel of what did you say?
Citizen Kane.
Citizen Kane.
Oh my God, no.
This is magnum opus.
I did a parallel between this and Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And the only reason I say that is because it was the first thing that I could think of. But it is parallel in the terms of, like, it shows gratuitous of what we already know. And that is, like, in Son of the Mask, like, okay, you have a lot of shots of, like, the baby, the dog, the dad, the baby, the dog, the dad. It's cartoony. It's the baby fighting with the dog fighting with the baby to get dad's attention. And, like, I love the parallel, or the little scene where they show that cartoon what's the WB frog, and, like, it's the same kind of concept. And you're like, okay, that's really, like, what they're really trying to hit home. But the same thing with Wolf of Wall Street. I feel like they could have cut so much time out of that movie because, like, we get it, he's doing drugs. We get it, he's, drinking.
He's a shady businessman.
Yeah, we get it.
We get the
He's a shady-
shtick.
Like, we get it. And I understand that they were showing that in gratuitous nature because they really wanted to hit that home run.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's kind of the same thing with, like, Son of the Mask. And even, like, you were saying it when I was watching it, which is like, okay, they're just showing, like, the cartoony baby and dog. They're showing, like, just all these cartoon parts and different, like, very Looney Tune-esque moments. And that was the parallel. I'm not saying that they're on the same level for sure.
No, at some point you gotta wrap it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You gotta
Like,
get,
we
like,
get it.
yeah,
You're doing
you've
it.
established the point.
Yes.
You don't have to keep showing it to my face multiple. We're talking about that private. I think I love Scorsese. He's a god to me. But a lot of his movies do that a lot, where it's like, we get it, bro. But let's get to the climax. Let's get to the third act.
Yeah.
Running back, like, it's
Take it
fine.
home.
Intro. It can't just be like that. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It diminishes the movie sometimes for me, especially
Well,
in
maybe-
The Sound of the
Maybe
Mask.
like a
Something show
3-hour
more
movie.
interesting.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so is Casino too, but
Yeah.
like
Things are happening.
things are happening, but, like, is it the same thing consistently over and over and
Yeah.
over and over?
Like,
and
if the
over
whole movie
again?
was just like casino, it would be like, oh shit. Dude.
Yeah,
I get
like,
it. They work at the
I
casino.
get it. The
Yeah.
blueberries. The blueberries.
The
But if
blueberries.
it was
Yeah.
something where it's like, oh, they're bad people because of this example. They're bad people because of this example. That would be different.
Yeah.
But this is kind of like, okay, they're bad people for the same reason. They're bad people for the same reason. They're bad people. Like, it's just
Yeah.
continuous.
Continuous loop of just the same.
But I almost feel like there's also that twist where, like, okay, are they showing this for a reason? Like, are they doing this on purpose? Where we're just kind of like, okay, you're overkilling, to really, like, not just strike home the concept of it, but, like, to almost annoy you to the point where they're trying to make you, because, like, that's what I argue is almost great, like, cinematic filmmaking, where they're doing something and you go in feeling one certain way about a character, an idea, a story, and because of what they're providing to you, you now exit the film feeling a completely different way. Where you're just like, man, I really loved donuts, and now because they showed donuts and eating donuts and ordering donuts and eating the same donut and throwing up donuts, and they're just getting the same type of donut, you're now just like, fuck, I'm over donuts. Like, this is
Well, yeah,
dumb.
and they ate all of the donuts in the world too. So
Just
that's
so
a
much
sad thing
donuts.
too.
Just so many donuts. Not even good donuts.
So random. But did I ever tell you that I met the movie The Wolf of Wall Street, the one who it's based on? I told you I met him and his son,
did.
right?
Oh,
Yes.
did you really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did.
Like at a talk or
He
something.
tried to sell you a pen.
No,
Was he nice to you?
no. I met him at his
Seminar.
His
Trying to
son went to school with one of my cousins, and I went to like some sort of school event to go pick up my. I won't say the name of the school here, but I'll tell you guys after. But
ITT Tech.
but I went to go pick up my cousin.
Why
from,
ain't you at school?
One of his little
Was it the
thingies.
college connection or?
Education connection.
That's it. Thank you.
Get the right course for free.
What are you doing? You're sitting on your couch.
ITT Tech.
Stare at the
Life
TV all
passing you
day.
by.
Moral of the story: he's a real nice guy.
Oh, now.
The
I
guy or the son?
No, the guy. I didn't know who he was when I first met him. He was real nice to me.
Why don't you
That's
tell
all
us
I have
about
to
me
say.
and Michael Jackson's son?
Oh,
You
that's-
met Blanket?
Different day.
I,
Get the fuck out of here!
I
You met
did.
Blanket.
Was he nice?
I did. I was his orientation leader.
Was
That's a
he
true
nice?
story.
I mean, I meant.
No.
Met Tito?
You what? Oh my god.
Blanket is real nice.
Controversial.
This
Um,
might have to be a short that
yeah, I
we'll
was
have to
like,
talk
my-
about afterwards.
my-
We can talk about that.
We can talk about Blanket over dinner.
Well,
tonight.
that
I'll
and
talk
like-
That's a
about
different,
Blanket.
different pod for a different day.
Oh my god.
Let's rate this
Yeah,
this
yeah,
monstrosity
yeah.
of a
Let's
film
not
called
go.
The Son of the
Yeah.
Mask. Yeah. Let's wrap this bad boy up. Who wants to take the lead on this one? Do
I
you
don't
wanna
wanna go
I
first.
feel like you haven't said that much about this movie, so
Yeah,
I would love for
I
you
don't
to.
want to go for.
You
No,
can
go
tear it
for it.
apart
You
and
He has like all these notes and they're
Let it-
highlighted
let it be
No,
and
done.
highlighted is
feel-
everything
you
I've
know,
already
it's like-
Why
said.
don't you want to go?
Every
Did you give this a 4?
no.
Did you give this higher than Aliens?
Did you? Yeah. Is this a 3?
No,
Are you
this
giving
actually-
this a 6 out
You
of
gave
5
it
poppies?
You gave
No,
it a
no, no.
2.59, didn't you? Just to spite me.
That will still be higher than Neon's. Okay.
I know, that's
How
why.
dare you?
You're up real close and personal over here, man.
What's the truth?
It's nothing but the truth.
You can't handle it. It's a war.
This movie to me,
They're upset
Felt-
too.
it's not higher than Aliens. I'll give you guys that. This movie to me felt like a giant joke.
Well,
It honestly felt like it was just like a total like cringe fest.
fever dream.
This was the first time I've ever watched this movie, so I've never seen it beforehand, and I struggled a lot to watch this movie. I kept wanting to do things, like I kept fidgeting. Like I would tell Joe to like watch the movie. I was like, no, like I need to do other things. I took out my walking pad at one point. I was like, I need to do something while I watch this movie because I can't just sit here and watch
How
this
many times
movie.
did you take out your phone? I feel like that's a true testament of how bad it
There
I
was
think
a-
I was
that's
on
the
my
Moody
phone most
score.
of the
There was a
time.
moment where I would have to like turn back just to check, and she was just on her phone. I'm like, hey, I'm like, watch this. I'm watching this. I'm
Yeah.
like,
The CGI in this movie was just horrible to me. I don't understand why they needed to CGI that baby. It honestly terrified the living shit out of me.
Do you really think the baby could shake the maracas?
No.
No,
I know
but,
exactly
like,
what
but-
Mooney's talking about, and that's going to be my point as well.
But
And I'm
it's
going to hit that
certain
nail
things where
home.
it's
what
like,
baby
I
was
don't
worse, the
understand.
one from Twilight or the one from Son of the Mask?
Oh my god.
Or from
Oh,
American Sniper? Just
the one from
To be fair, Twilight was only.
It was
2
a
years
robot.
ago.
it was a robot.
Which
They
one?
had an animatronic baby for Twilight.
Yeah, but they put that uncanny face
yes.
on it,
Yeah.
and oh
Which
my
also
god.
fun little tidbit when I was looking into it, the baby CGI that they did for this one, it was the same company that did the CGI, which came around the same time. Another Jim Carrey movie, Series of Unfortunate Events. That CGI baby,
And I feel
Same
like
company.
one probably
Sunny?
did it.
Sunny
better.
from.
I don't remember. That
hurts me,
series
'cause I
is
grew up
much.
with those books.
I love.
I
those
love
books.
that series.
Those are the books I thought you were talking
I
about yesterday.
love
I
that
love
series,
those
and I think I was just biased. I didn't hate the movie.
I didn't hate the movie either.
I actually never finished the series, and I kind of kicked myself.
Oh, I've never
because
seen the
of-
series. I've just seen
The one with
No,
Neil
no,
Patrick
Oh, the-
Harris.
Like the book series.
Oh,
I
okay.
read the books
I
up
did.
until like a point, and I
Mhm.
never got the last book, and now I feel like I should.
We
but
can read it
You
together.
could.
I've read everything.
We're gonna
just
do a
like,
reread.
let's read
We're all
it.
gonna get one.
Let's read a preteen.
That's the next pod. We're just gonna sit here and
together.
read to the audience.
Just us
Um,
talking about it.
We might.
But bringing it back
that
to Son of-
ASMR market.
Yeah, but bringing it back to Son of the Mask, I feel like this movie to me it was just very painful to watch. I could not get behind that CGI baby. My one and only saving grace for this film, I liked the dog. I liked Otis, like the scenes with Otis. That fireworks scene, like the animation where you kind of see this world that he lives in when he's like playing with the fireworks. That was the highlight of the film for me.
Yep.
With that being said, I give it a 0.5 out of 5 poppies.
Damn.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
It's
the
not a
lowest
0.
score yet.
My lowest score. No, he's given a 0 already. Joseph's
No, you
given
gave
a
a
negative.
0.5, right?
No, he's given negative poppy.
Oh shit, that's right.
You doing
Yeah,
it?
you're right.
We did it. We put it on
It was
Poppy
just a
black
and white poppy.
I was gonna say, is it
Poppy
a burnt,
noir.
Is it a burnt
Burnt
poppy?
poppy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
It's
was a
poppy
poppy.
noir.
I think I gave it to Alien
Yeah,
3.
that overcooked popcorn.
Check the tape, guys. I don't.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
one
Go
of the
back.
aliens. It
Add
was
that
either
in right
Aliens
here.
I want to
Resurrection
say
or
it was
Alien.
3 because Resurrection I didn't despise. It's just
Yeah.
3 I'm like. But anyways,
Yep. So
Poppy
0.5, eh?
okay.
0.5 poppies.
Damn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so she gave you- she
I
gave yours,
I
so-
hate the effects in this movie. I hate the dog. I don't like it. It's just not a good movie. I feel bad for the cast. It's just not good. It didn't need to be made, but obviously no movie needs to be made. But I'm at a 0, just a 0. You know, it's the rewatch quality's rough. There's something there, but like it's just a complete mess of a film, and I don't blame that on anybody but the writing and the directing. Honestly, I hate the set. Like we brought up the Cat in the Hat stuff. It just doesn't really fit for me. I know it's supposed to be cartoony, but at the same time, like it devalues the film in its totality. And then again, The Mask is such a good movie, so I agree with you on that. It's like, oh my God, you're raking in that basis of that to that, and it's like it's not a good time. So I'm at a 0.
Yeah. Yeah, there were, I mean, the only things that I could say that I like, I agree with Mooney, the Otis's point of view, that was the cartoon. Was good. It was very reminiscent of a Looney Tunes thing, and also the animation was very much of like the original Space Jam, like a newer age Looney Tunes.
Okay.
It had like a nice aesthetic to it that I liked. There was a story there that they totally missed the mark on, which, you know, like there's something to be said about that. Poor Bob Hoskins. I already said that a lot.
He knew what he was doing.
He was making
He
a
made his
paycheck.
choices. He was Mario.
Yeah. I hate the CGI, of course. That the baby.
See, Ryan knows what I'm talking about.
It's the what you were saying. Why it scares you so much is because it falls into that uncanny valley
Yes.
of it's not right.
Mhm.
It doesn't look right, like Polar Express. That CG in that.
Mm-hmm.
I would.
You go ahead and Google it. I'll say that.
No, I would argue.
There are
Polar
parts that are
Express.
good of
I
that, but
know,
they
I
didn't
would
get the
argue.
faces and the facial expression.
Yeah.
There's something wrong
But
about
the
it.
whole thing is animated, so I would almost argue that.
Never seen it. I have to watch it this year.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we'll take you on the train. We can. I'll get
Is that a
hot
thing?
chocolate again. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you
Oh,
can cut your
yeah.
own Christmas tree down and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in.
It's a whole thing.
You guys can take him.
Become one of Santa's elves.
I mean, you were an
Yeah,
elf in your
sculpture.
past life.
Hey, we'll talk about that.
I give it a 1.
Marissa.
So I literally finished watching this movie like moments before we did this. I'd never seen it before. I've seen The Mask probably at least 10 times, especially with Ryan. And I don't know. I feel like mine is purely based on just what Jamie Kennedy had to say, how I feel about Jamie Kennedy, knowing what I know about like at least from his point of view, where the story should have maybe gone. I really think that there could have been potential to make this something more. I almost wish that maybe now, knowing what I know about the comics and everything, that they may have gone back and maybe done like a series with it. Because that's what the comics were. It's just like it's a different person getting the mask every time and all that included. I once again I feel like my rating is going to be just morally based on the first one, Jamie Kennedy, and then the comic series itself. So it's really tough. I give it a 1.5. Probably that 0.5 is based off of sympathy.
Yes.
But I still feel like where they were going, I'm also a Looney Tunes fan. I grew up on Looney Tunes cartoons. So knowing that some of their cartoonier moments are maybe based on that. I mean, they showed the WB Frog. Like, I was like, oh, that's a nice little, like, kind of parallel. I think that's where it's just more of my sympathy goes out to it. I'm not mad about it. I'm not angered about it. I know a lot of people are just like, fuck this movie. it's one of the worst sequels ever. I don't argue against that, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I'm always going to be one to look past, right? Like, I'm always going to try to see what are the pros and versus cons, kind of all encompass. Like, if a movie entertains me, like, I don't consider it a bad movie. I'm not saying that this movie entertained me to the fullest. There's definitely moments, like I said, with the parallel with Wolf of Wall Street, where I definitely, like, got, okay, like, I could skip this. This is the same shit over and over again. But there are moments where it's just Jamie Kennedy talking to the baby, and he's trying to have this moment, and you kind of see, not really see, but there's, like, a spark of, like, his arc as being, like, kind of like a dude that's, like a man-child who kind of arcs into being maybe, like, a better father.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a very humanistic
Yeah. There was a
reality that
story
we all
there
have.
that
yeah, there was probably, like, when they sold it to him, I guarantee they probably
that
sold
was more
him,
prevalent
yeah, like
for sure.
It's about this guy who, like, just wants to be in his career, but then, like, his wife wants a baby and he's torn between, like, I guarantee they sold it to him.
Yeah.
And I feel like he just got tricked into this story that wasn't a reality. And I feel like that's just something that maybe isn't talked about enough in, like, a lot of these bad movies that we're going to discuss or will discuss later. But so for that reason, I give it a 1.5. I just have a lot more sympathy knowing what I know about it and then actually watching the movie. But as far as the movie goes,
Yeah, it's rough.
it's whatever.
It
reminds me of a lot of, like, just, like, garbage early 2000s, like, yeah, like Cats and Dogs.
Yeah.
Is, like, I mean, it's the same director, but
You know?
yeah, it's just very, like, Spy Kids-y animation, very just cartoony.
Yeah.
It's one of those
garbage.
films that's like straight to VHS. Like in early
It coulda-
2000s, like
it
those
coulda been
bad
that,
sequels
yeah.
that came out from
Yeah,
like
like
other
it shoulda-
big
yeah.
franchises. Like that's what it felt like the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's
too
my
bad.
rating, but I don't know. I
Yeah.
still have hope for Jamie Kennedy. He's still young. I hope for him.
He's got it.
Yeah.
He's got it.
But anyway.
All right.
I think that's
Well,
it.
that will do it for this week's episode, guys. As always, comment down below what you thought of the Mask and the Son of the Mask, as we asked you guys if you could recast or find somebody that could do justice to the Mask in live action form. Let us know down below in the comments. Links are all down below in the description. Like, subscribe, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Until next time, the podcast, a show so sublime. Marissa, Mooney, Joseph, and Ryan signing off with glee. Join us next episode for more sequel revelry.